Hello everyone, and let's talk about resetting the cultural code for the generative AI era, which many companies don't realize they should be doing. Because generative AI is not like other technologies, employees have a lot of fear and anxiety around it. And at the same time, there's a lot of challenges with generative AI adoption when companies treat it just like as a technology adoption. Previous technologies were much more straightforward. They're much more clear about how to use, implement, you train people on them, you integrate them into your system, and so on. People use them. But generative AI really needs to be customized to your company's specific needs and use cases. Unlike other technologies, generative AI is much more random. It has much more variable outcomes. And if your people aren't enthusiastic about using it and haven't customized it to their needs, that will be a serious problem for your generative AI adoption. So that's why you need to have a real culture code change to have a good generative AI culture. So what are the pillars of a generative AI culture? You need to foster collaboration with generative AI adoption across teams with a clear shared purpose. What is your goal for generative AI adoption? What do you want to accomplish? You want to have inclusive design of AI pilots to promote fairness and having people have buy-in into what's happening with generative AI. Make sure to demonstrate ethical leadership in generative AI to build trust, that generative AI will be used ethically. So that's really important. And ensure that there's clear accountability for all AI-driven decisions, as well as championing continuous learning and adaptability to change, as generative AI is changing quickly. And so you need to change quickly the way that you use generative AI effectively. How do you overcome resistance, which is going to be inevitable? I've seen it time and time again in companies I worked with. You want to understand where the resistance is coming from. There was a recent survey from Pew showing that 50% of Americans are more concerned than excited about generative AI, whereas only 10% of Americans are more excited than concerned. And so your employees, you can be pretty confident that a lot of them are more concerned than excited. And they're worried about job loss, they're worried about displacement, they're worried about bias, they're worried about misinformation. So you want to address their fears with empathy and clear communication. You want to focus on, for example, communicating that nobody will be laid off because of using generative AI, that you want to make those sorts of communications and commitments, and provide hands-on practical training to demystify AI and address worries about hallucination, bias, and risks, tailoring support to different teams and demographics, and celebrate early success to build confidence. For example, I worked with a financial firm where we started with framing AI as a tool for empowerment, not replacement. So they previously tried to adopt generative AI, and they only had 24% positive sentiment for generative AI. And as a result of working with us, we built trust through transparent communication, through audits, through ethical leadership. The positive AI sentiment grew from 24% to 71% over 6 months, and productivity improved by 23% over that period. The firm became a regional leader in generative AI adoption. So, what you want to do is think about using that same approach, modeling thoughtful and ethical AI leadership and use, setting the standard for your industry, sharing best practices in your company through content and workshops with a strong culture that can turn AI into a true engine of growth. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps other people discover the show and helps us improve the show. And if you have any questions, email me at gleb, Gleb, @disasteravoidanceexperts.com.